Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 12 on the Haunted Hollow series. In the last episode we continued to work on our reservoir over here. It doesn't really look like much of a reservoir right now, but today we're going to be putting a little bit more effort into it. Hopefully we will finish placing down all the platforms that we need and then also continue the levees around the side, and then the reservoir should start to take shape. But before we do that, we're going to focus on our new tree farm we have over here. There were lots of awesome comments that you guys were leaving on this whole system itself. One of you guys noticed that if we have all this dynamite placed down here and then detonate it, it's going to change the irrigation zone, which means that we're going to probably need to place down some sort of water system over here, which means it won't be quite as hands-off as this one has been so far. But on the bright side, we are going to be able to expand it then. And then we could also place down some irrigation barriers along here, and then we wouldn't have to worry about any contamination impacting these trees. Another comment was about this pool that we have over here. If we actually remove this levee and replace it with a sluice, and then we add some floodgates over here, we could get the water to back up a little bit more, which means that we could have some more water get stored in here. And that's going to be a pretty easy fix, so I'm going to make that change right now. And we do have the single floodgate unlocked, so we can place a couple of those down. And then once they've placed these down, then we can replace this final platform with another floodgate. And they got this dynamite placed down pretty quickly, so we can detonate all of this. And then they also have these platforms placed down. They're placing some tunnels, but we don't need these. And we can continue placing dynamite down to get the path going over here. And then we do have the platforms placed underneath this building. So if we add some single tubes in, that should get us all the way here. And then we can get some stairs placed down and finish off the rest of these ones. We also started producing bots in the last episode, and we do have an unemployed bot at the moment, but I think that we have a few jobs that we can toss them in. We're going to actually send some of them into the gear workshops because we are completely out of gears now. It does cost a little bit of science, but that is okay. And then we actually only have one gear workshop, maybe? There might be one under here. Let's take a quick look. Looking through the different jobs, it seems we have two, so there probably is one under here. But we should make sure that they're both prioritized by haulers, and then we can switch this to bots as soon as we get another bot produced. And it does look like that irrigation zone did change a bit, but if we add in a few irrigation barriers over here, and then we can also add some along here, if we get a pool right in this section and then maybe have one go underground and have it pop out over here, then we can get a lot more trees planted, which should help our wood shortage. Right now we're doing good, we have over 600, but I think that I've learned my lesson from previous live streams and series where we end up with a major wood shortage. And it seems like we're doing pretty good on planks, logs, and metal blocks. I would like to get our metal block stores up a little bit, but in the meantime we can start adding in a few more of these overhangs. And it looks like we can't actually overhang on top of this swimming pool. So I'm going to remove one of these double showers and then shift this around. That way we can get some overhangs going over here. And then we also need to deal with this staircase. What I'm going to do is shift the path over this way, blast out a few of these path pieces with some dynamite, and then lower it so the stairs go down underneath before we reach these platforms and overhangs. So we'll actually want to remove this one and then we can replace it with a longer one. And then getting over here so that we can actually get underneath and make a small little tunnel for the water to go over here is going to be a little bit of a challenge. I think we'll need to actually make some stairs that go down. And then once they place this piece of dynamite here, we can add a third staircase in. We'll also need to make a little area for the water to pop up from, which means we unfortunately need to remove a few of these trees. And then as soon as we add in a few stairs, we will have everything set up other than this final overhang. Oh, and it is day 5, but I still have not unpaused these water pumpers. So we've been running a little bit low on water, down to under 2,000. And we are producing bots fast. We have another unemployed one. We have 4 total. I put the other 2 into the gear workshops, but it might be good to toss one of them into the water pumper for now. Since we have 27 vacant jobs at this point, we can switch some of these jobs to bots. This hauling post will be one of them. And we are getting injured beavers left and right. You can see we have 26 incapacitated beavers. Let's pause real quick. We do have this mine up and running, so this job is a very high chance of injury one, which is probably what's contributing to us having so many injured beavers. But we are running a little bit low on scrap metal over here, so unfortunately we can't really afford to pause this. But what we do need to do is add some more medical beds in. I think we only have a couple over here. Maybe we have a few more somewhere underneath the colony, and it looks like there are some more up here. But clearly it's not enough. Once we start getting a lot more bots, we can toss those into this efficient mine over here. since the bots are not at risk of getting injured, it takes 1,000 signs, which is actually way cheaper than I thought it was going to be. So we can keep that in our back pocket. It seems the beavers are filling these beds up immediately. So let's continue adding in more medical beds. And then we have the trees cleared out over here, and we have access to underneath. So if we go down a little bit, then we can add in a couple more tunnels to reach over here. And then we can add in a fluid dump, and we can get another forester over here as well. And as long as we get a few irrigation barriers right over here, then I think this should be able to stop the contamination from going over here. We might need to remove this path, and then maybe also add in a tube station right here. And the beavers are enjoying their medical beds. Hopefully this will help heal them up much faster. We're already down in incapacitated beavers a little bit. I think we're up to 25 or 26. I'm going to add in some birch trees over along this section. Since I don't fully know how far the contamination is going to spread this way, we might need to remove these ones and add some more irrigation barriers. But for now I'm going to leave it like this. If we remove a few of these paths, then we can go along the bank right here. And then that should protect those trees from any sort of contamination. And there is some water that is starting to be poured into this hole. As you can see, it is at the bottom now. So we can give this guy a few days, and then eventually this will all fill up. Although before I plant too many trees, I want to see where the gravity batteries fall down to. Because if we make a few holes over here, we can extend the amount of energy that the gravity batteries have. And at this point we have fewer pieces of scrap metal to collect than there are scavengers. So we can get rid of a couple of these. And then we also have some space up here that we could take advantage of. If we place some irrigation barriers down, we can once again stop the bad water effects from spreading. And I suspect as I'm going to need some more gears, the plank demand is going to increase, which means that wood is also going to increase. So I think getting ahead of the curve is not a bad idea at this point. So we've only gone up about 1,000 water in, I think it was 4 days, which means that we should probably switch another one of these water pumpers to be a bot. That way we can get some more water pumping around the clock. And on the bright side, it looks like we also have fewer incapacitated beavers. And since we are going to have some more buildings over here, I should probably make sure we extend the tubes in that direction as well. It should be pretty straightforward if we just have some overhangs and platforms on top of these paths. And as you can see, a beaver is walking out of here. I never actually fully connected this whole path in, which means we have not been getting the benefits of this so far. And why does it say this one is not connected in? Oh, did I never replace this? It looks like that might be the case. Just need to add in, I'm gonna have to remove all these platforms above it, and I do not want to do that. How about this? Instead we can go out of here and then go along this way and then go down and connect into the tube down here. But that means we also need to replace it with a vertical tube. And then let's also replace this missing one in here. And then we still need to tidy up a few pieces in this area. And then with all these trees that we're going to be planting, we also need to have some storage set up for them. And we're going to take advantage of the water over here, place a few platforms down, and then we can place some of the piles on top of those. So we have space for a few storages over here. As soon as I detonate these pieces of dynamite, then we can have 2 more of the piles placed down, and then we can place stuff on top of these as well, and then take advantage of the green space that we have left. It also looks like the beavers placed down the irrigation barrier, so we have way more space that we can plant some trees. And then we have a drought approaching in just over 1 day. We are going up in water. We have 3,500 at the moment, but I think we should try and get a few more last minute water pumpers set up. So let's switch 3 more of these to bots right now. And now we've had the tides turn and we have an unemployed beaver. We have 2 of them now. So let's see if we can fit them in some other jobs. We can switch this lumber mill back to beavers for now. And then we can always add in a few of these lumberjack flags. We do have some trees over here that we can chop down. And the beavers have made fantastic progress on this tube system. We just have this tube station we need to complete, but we're missing a few gears. We can bump it up on the priority list, that way they focus on this when they get the available gears. And then we also have these overhangs, which require metal blocks, planks, and logs. Looks like we're doing great on all those, but I do have them set to lower on the priority list, although I think it's time to switch them back to normal, since I placed these down near the very beginning of the episode. And I don't even know how long ago I placed these. They clearly can't reach them, which I don't know if I fully realized that at the moment. But if we get some more platforms placed over here, and then I guess a tube station, then we should be able to reach these, but that is not something I'm going to worry about right now. Although something I am concerned about is that we are actually dropping in food a bit. I think we had 1,500 at one point, and now we're down to 1.1k. So let's see what we can do. We have a good amount of kohlrabi. Fermented cassavas is alright. We could probably use another farmer over here. And the drought has started. Let's make sure we pause all these water pumpers. And then now we need to make sure we have some jobs for them. It is high time we switch this from being beavers to being bots. And then that also means we have some more beaver jobs we need to make. Looks like we're actually doing pretty good on bot parts, except for chassis. We do not have enough of those. I think we need to get some more gear workshops up and running. Good thing we have some space to fit a few more in. And this is actually pretty cool. I didn't think about the fact that we have all of this area irrigated during a drought, since these sluices are not going to open because it's tied to the contamination level. And during a drought, there's no contamination. So that's a nice little bonus. Then we have a bunch of trees over here, which means we should add in some more lumberjack flags. But unfortunately, this section is not irrigated. I should probably think about what we want to do to irrigate this area. We do have these floodgates that we could use. We don't have any bad water that makes it through here. But if we go upstream a little bit, we do have these sluices. Really, we could only have the water go up in elevation 1 level. And that would be if we put some sluices down that were also tied to the bad water contamination level. So if we set up a few more sluices, that should do the trick. I bumped this level of contamination up to 4%, and then this one is now down to 1%. So when we have some clean water and it's rushing through here, this one will close because the contamination will be below 1%, which will divert the water through the path that it's been going. And then when the bad tide rolls through, it'll start going through here up until the contamination hits 4%, then this one will close. And that one should be open at this point because the contamination will be above 1%, and then this will no longer be closed. And then the last thing to do is to go over to our floodgates. We don't really need any of these ones. We could basically replace them with some levees if we wanted. And we can raise this one up to 0.9. If there's any flooding that happens, it wouldn't be a big issue because it would just go back here. And then we don't have any infrastructure down in this area. So we can leave that and then see how the beavers get on with it. And since we have 16 unemployed beavers, let's add in a couple more builders huts, and then we can add in one more hauling post as well. And then I haven't really thought about the exit strategy for this reservoir. We have this part of the area closed off. We will need to make sure the beavers can get up here, and then they can place down some of the impermeable flooring to stop the water from soaking right through these overhangs. So we have a bit more of the reservoir design now. I might need to blast away a few pieces of these dirt blocks, but I'm going to hold off on that for now. And then per usual, we need to mark these trees to be chopped down because apparently I did not do that earlier. Well, we actually have a good amount of birch that have grown up already. And oh my goodness, these gravity batteries are loading very quickly. Let's turn on a few more of these engines. And then we can also add in a few more gravity batteries. Well, we want to protect the beavers over here, so I'm going to add in a couple platforms. That way the gravity battery won't block the path over here. Ooh, and we have some extra trees over here. Looks like they were marked to be chopped down, but we didn't have a few of those ones marked. We've almost detonated all the dynamite. We have one final piece. Although I'm curious why... Oh, these guys are probably maxed out on space, so we need to get some storage for them over here. And if we get a couple piles placed right here, that should be pretty helpful. And then hopefully they can chop this stuff down a little bit faster. And as of the release of this episode, we should have had stream number 1 of the new Timberborn map yesterday morning. If you haven't checked out any of the live streams, they typically happen on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it has been a lot of fun getting to interact with you guys. So if you want to stop by for just a few minutes or watch the whole thing, you can do so by visiting my channel. The beavers have constructed quite a bit over here. They can almost reach all this, although they might not be able to reach these ones, and they won't have access to it, so I think I need to make some stairs that go down here. So I think this is what we're going to do for the exit for the reservoir. I can probably add in a few floodgates just to get a little bit more water storage over here. And in reality, it's not a whole lot of storage that we get from this system. I could probably also get a little bit more if we leveled some of this. We can't build on top of these swimming pools, unfortunately, so we'd have to do something a little bit different. We could go like this and then have another overhang over here. This whole thing is going to look a little bit funky, so I did a little bit of rearranging. We get a small amount of extra water storage space over here, and that's where we're going to wrap up today's episode. Thankfully, the drought is almost done. We have 0.7 days left, and we have under 1,000 water now, so this reservoir couldn't be built at a better time. I don't think we'll get to finish it before the next wet season happens, and we might not even finish it before the next drought or bad tide appears. But if you want to see when we wrap it up, you'll have to stay tuned for the next episode. So if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that like button. It really does mean a lot to me. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.